not quite, but also I kind of figured it was going to be like that, honestly. You know, I heard Canelo say in the interview, like, I don't really like fighting guys who move around that much like that, and William Skull being a Cuban fighter, like, I knew he was going to do that. And so was curious to see, you know, how Canelo...
They announced it on Saturday after the whole Canelo fight, and I don't understand. This is a big fight. I don't know. I'm a boxing fan. I'm a UFC boxing fan. I'm a fan. But this fight, I ain't gonna lie, it might cause a little race war between blacks and Mexicans, because you know Canelo's fans is kind of crazy. But
it's September between the two great fighters in our generation.
Terence Crawford just recently issued a live warning to Canelo Alvarez in a short but powerful moment during a recent live stream. Crawford looked straight into the camera and said, "In September, I'm going to show the world what greatness looks like." It wasn't a vague comment, it was direct and aimed at one man. This wasn't Crawford talking about someday. This was him making it clear that the fight in September isn't a side project. It's his next target, and he's not coming to test himself.
I'm going with Terence Crawford, you know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years, I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can beat him.
Over the past few months, his tone has shifted from playful to sharp. It started earlier in the year when he tweeted, "Remember what you said about me." That tweet came after years of Canelo brushing off the idea of a fight between them, calling Crawford too small. At the time, Crawford didn't respond with a full-blown rebuttal. He just planted a seed. Now it's grown, it's personal, and this live stream was a turning point. It showed he's ready to close the distance between talk and action.
68 pounds.
Canelo's really good, really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. And I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? You know, but those intangibles.
Crawford's confidence hasn't come from hope. It's built on track record. Just recently, he made another subtle dig online saying, "Now don't make daddy take his belt off, son. You've been a good boy lately. Don't make papa mad now." It was light on the shoe surface, but the meaning underneath was clear. Crawford sees himself as the man with control, and he views Canelo's recent performances as soft. In Crawford's view, the Canelo of today isn't the same beast from 4 or 5 years ago. And in this upcoming fight, Crawford believes he'll expose...
I know Crawford and his fans would have never in their life allowed Crawford to fight 36 rounds with Canelo. I know Crawford and his fans will never in their life ask him to fight David Benavidez. I know Crawford and his fans will never in their life ask to fight Dimitri.
We're
talking about, I'm not done, my friend, because you're like on, that weed is real. I need some of that weed because, you know, we're talking about a dude that moved up 2 divisions.
Oscar De La Hoya, who knows both fighters well, weighed in recently with his take on how things might go on. September 13th, Crawford is very, he's not one-dimensional. He can move, he can box, he can, I don't know how hard he hits to keep Canelo away from him, but, I think it's going to be very interesting, De La Hoya said. His hesitation wasn't about skill, it was about power. That's the central question heading into this matchup. Can Crawford make Canelo respect his shots?
I feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out, from Kirkland to Amir Khan to just... Obviously,
I'm just saying, man.
No, but he's not Kovalev.
Kovalev was older.
De La Hoya admitted he's looking forward to the fight, despite being unsure of the outcome. The matchup is one that brings legitimate curiosity. Crawford has made believers out of many, but facing someone who has operated at super middleweight for this long is another level of challenge. He's not just facing a bigger name, he's facing a naturally bigger man. Manny Pacquiao, a fighter who understands the dangers of jumping weight classes better than most, offered his own advice to Crawford during a recent discussion. When asked what he would tell the Omaha native, Pacquiao responded plainly, "My advice is that he would make sure to focus on speed. That's the problem when you're moving up in weight, that your speed and power go. So he needs to focus on that.
Spaceman Films. What up, Biz? Who you got? Canelo Crawford.
Yeah, got Canelo. I heard the punches that he hit Charlo with. I don't know if Crawford can absorb those punches. I know he's a great man and a great warrior. But you come from 147 to put on a better fight than Charlo. I mean, I don't even know what that means. I don't know if that means that Crawford is so great and he can do that, or that means that Charlo sets the bar so damn low that anybody can do better than Charlo did last night.
Do skill really pay the bill? Because that would be tough.
That's why Canelo killed the team.
That's the key to Crawford's chances. He isn't going to win this fight through size or force. He has to win it by being faster, sharper, more alert. His whole style is built around angles, timing, and control. He's never relied on brute strength to get the job done. But at 168, against a guy who's been training with hard hitters for years, that skill set will be tested like never before. Former WBA super middleweight champion George Groves, who knows the division firsthand, has a more skeptical view. He's not convinced Crawford can overcome the weight gap. I can't see how Canelo can't win. Groves said he's had a lot of fights now, but there doesn't seem to be too many miles on the clock.
Yeah, that's a nice division. You got a lot of tough fighters in that division. Of course, Crawford came in there, and he got one match in, and now he's moving on to fight the big one, Canelo.
Yeah.
How do you see that fight, man?
And I mean, I got it even, to be honest. I mean, Canelo's got definitely more fight experience.
Groves noted that while Canelo might not be the biggest guy at super middleweight, he's filled into the weight his body is built for the physical demands of that division. Now, meanwhile, Crawford has only recently arrived at 154 and is now leaping up again to Groves. That's a red flag, he added. I can't see him putting any physical dent in Canelo. He's an amazing fighter, Crawford. He's an astute, clever boxer who has almost every shot in the book. His balance is tremendous, but I think it is a step too far. That's a view shared by many in the sport. They admire Crawford's talent, but they think this jump might just be one bridge too far, not because he lacks ability, but because physics and weight classes exist for a reason.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's physically kind of big, but height-wise.
Still, not everyone agrees with that. Sugar Ray Leonard, a 5-division champion who knows about taking big risks, gave his thoughts during a May 22nd interview when asked if the size difference was too much. Leonard didn't deny the danger, but he didn't count Crawford out either. I mean, that's true. But you know what? There's always a way to win, Leonard said. Leonard's words weren't meant to hype Crawford. They came from experience. He's lived what Crawford is about to attempt, and what he's saying is that sometimes skill, discipline, and belief can beat bulk and power. Crawford's hoping that still holds true.
What about Crawford do you think can bridge the weight gap, or with you, what did bridge the weight gap? Because a lot of people are just saying, hey, Canelo's just too big for someone like Terence.
That's true, but you know what? There's always a way. Put it that, there's always a way. There's always a way to win.
Bob Arum, the longtime promoter who knows both fighters' careers inside and out, took a different route. He didn't question Crawford. He questioned Canelo. Canelo has shown in his last few fights that he's just a businessman. Arum said in a recent interview, he's not in there to entertain the public. He just takes the big check. Arum wasn't being disrespectful. He was being direct. He's watched Canelo evolve from an aggressive, ruthless boxer into a more calculating economic fighter. And in Arum's eyes, that shift might work against him against a guy like Crawford who still fights with urgency.
Let me tell you what I think should be gone. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jermell Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest?
He added if Canelo really fights, because I think it's safe to say that Terence always fights. He doesn't know anything else, so then it could be a very interesting fight. The real question for Aram is not whether Crawford shows up ready, it's what version of Canelo shows up. Will it be the veteran who plays it safe, or the younger warrior who used to trade hard shots without blinking? Aram ended by asking what many fans have been wondering: who's Canelo? What Canelo is going to show up? The Canelo who is looking to cash a big check, or the Canelo that really wants to fight like a fighter? The Canelo we have seen in the last 2 years is not only boring, but doesn't really have an incentive to mix it up and to entertain people with a good fight.